Sitaram, Assalamu alaikum, Namaste, and good afternoon. Mahatma Gandhi wrote, prayer is the greatest building force, making for the solidarity and oneness of the human family. If a person realizes his unity with God through prayer, he will look upon everybody as himself. There will be no high, no low, no narrow provincialism. There will be no invidious distinction between touchable and untouchable, a Hindu and a Muslim, a Sikh, a Parsi, or a Christian. Similarly, there will be no scramble for gain or power between various groups or between different members within a group. The outer must reflect the inner. If we are in tune with God, no matter how big a gathering, perfect, quiet, and order would prevail. Even in the weakest would enjoy perfect protection. Above all, realization of God must mean freedom from all earthly fear. To do the peace prayer, please stand and maintain your social distance. Look to the person next to you and maintain eye contact. Now, repeat after me. I offer you peace. I offer you love. I offer you friendship. I see your beauty. I hear your need. I feel your feelings. My wisdom flows from the highest source. I salute that source in you. Let us work together for unity and love. Thank you.
Thank you, Jitendra. And to welcome us here this morning to this rededication function, I'll now ask Mrs. Mahadi Ramlagan to come to the microphone.
Namaste, good morning, and Assalamu alaikum to the Honorable Indian High Commissioner, Sri A.K. Sahu, our worship, the Mayor of San Fernando, Mayor Regralo, and other dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media. On behalf of the President Jawaharlal Mewalal and the executive of the Ghandi Statue Incorporated, it is my pleasure to welcome everyone present here today and also those looking on virtually. Today, 2nd of October 2021, is a momentous occasion for us at the Ghandi Statue Incorporated as we celebrate three significant milestones: the rededication of the statue of Mahatma Gandhi, the 70th anniversary of the Ghandi Statue Incorporated, and the 153rd birthday anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Though the pandemic has altered the way we do things, this occasion proves that we can still find pockets of hope and optimism in our lives as we become that change the new normal requires of us. Much inspiring utterances will be made about Mahatma Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi today, and I urge each and every individual to take away one piece of inspiration and use it to improve his or her life. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. And now to introduce the first citizen of the city of San Fernando. This gentleman has deep cultural roots. he has been, a lot of you may not know, he has been a multiple masked king of San Fernando. And of course, because of that, a finalist in the big show at Port of Spain. He has represented us also by taking a small pan around the next side on Jarvis Street and bringing them from there to Coffee Street, San Fernando, to the Skiffle Bunch Pan Theater, a very renowned side now in Trinidad and Tobago, and in the Caribbean and afield because they have gone on tour. This gentleman has also been a recipient of the Shakonia Gold because of his involvement on the committee with the GPAN with Professor Copeland at the university. Please let us welcome this former minister in the Ministry of Culture and our first citizen, Mayor Junior Regrello.
Thank you, Mr. Master of Ceremonies. It is my responsibility to recognize our High Commissioner for India, members of the civil organization who are responsible for this morning's event, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my friend, businessman from High Street, and other guests and those listening to this morning's event. I sat on the chair a while ago and looked at that statue of Mahatma Gandhi. And I said, so small in stature and body, but gives so much to the world. Somebody who gives the world words and his body in return, in his life. Somebody who influenced the thinking of other leaders. And you look at the impact he would have had on Nelson Mandela and Dr. Martin Luther King and other generations to come. Somebody who committed themselves to the development of India and obviously would have sacrificed his life. I saw an interview once where he was asked, are you prepared to go to jail? And he said, yes. Are you prepared to die? He said, yes, he's prepared to die for his people. But more importantly, there was another matter when the first attempt on his life was made many years ago. And the reporter asked him, why they want to kill you? He said, maybe I'm no longer relevant. Maybe I have no value and no meaning. If that is what it is, then maybe I should die. So here it is, you had a situation where somebody is attempting to kill you, where the assassin and the victim are in a sort of agreement. And that is the humility of the man. Maybe in his life, he would have thought his purpose was to rescue India and get the independence. So after that was achieved, well then, what's the use of I continue? My mission is accomplished and my work is finished. It was 6 or 7 months after he was killed, High Commissioner? 6 or 7, January of 1948, I think it was, and he got the independence in 1947. But you have to look at in the context of how he was able to transform India with a quest for independence and take on the might of the British without firing one bullet, because he believed in non-violence. This morning's event is to celebrate his contribution overall, the impact it would have had on several people, the countries, the world, maybe leaders, but for us as Trinidadians to recognize him and to have his statue on our most cherished and most valuable property, which is Harris Promenade. When Harris Promenade was given to us in 1846 by Lord Harris, it was in the agreement that we preserve the space for the people of San Fernando for leisure, for pleasure, as the case may be, but to acknowledge and recognize those who have shaped the landscape. So what you have here is Marcus Garvey, Simon Bolivar, Dr. Eric Williams, and Mahatma Gandhi, significant persons who have contributed, who have really shaped the world and made that kind of contribution to influence others in going forward. I want to commend the High Commissioner for this very kind gesture. It was last year, I think, was when he visited my office and did a courtesy call. I said, High Commissioner, I want to show you something. And we came across here, I said, this is Mahatma Gandhi. He was brought here, I think, in 1940-something, 1950-something, he came here. A group of the organization who is taking responsibility for this morning event would have been involved in bringing him here. When that statue came, I was told by, I think it was Abracadabra, who was one of the organizers of the event. They had the statue on a lorry, and they drove the statue all over San Fernando for about 2 days, and people came out by the droves to recognize this great man who would have influenced the world. So we'll have to look at it in that context and congratulate you for understanding when I said to you, let us upgrade the statue because it is significant. And I'm happy that you made the contribution. And when I saw a glimpse of it sometime during the week, I said, wow, right, it is deserving of its presence and its place on the promenade. I also want to congratulate the organization who will be looking after the maintenance and support of this organization. So well done. We look forward to working collectively ensuring that the presence of Mahatma Gandhi remains on Harris Promenade with prominence. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And now to bring executive remarks, pre-recorded, is Sharda Ramlakan. Sharda has been active in the Ghandi Seva Sangh for over 40 years. She doesn't look it. She has recently taken up a position on the executive. Let us hear from Sharda.
His Worship, the Mayor of the City of San Fernando, Alderman Junior Regrello, Director of the Mahatma Gandhi Institute for Cultural Cooperation, Mrs. Ramye Ajay, President of the Gujarati Association, Mr. Ashwin Kumar Patel, specially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, Namaste. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standards he sets by his exemplary acts, all the world pursues. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse 21. Today is indeed a momentous occasion, as the Ghandi Seva Sangh Incorporated celebrates the life of a great man. 2021 marks the 70th anniversary of the formation of the Ghandi Seva Sangh Incorporated, and we felt, as an organization, that the most fitting manner to mark this event is with the restoration of the object for which the organization exists. That is, the statue of the great Mahatma Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. Today is an appropriate time to delve into the pages of history and remind ourselves of the process that led to the Mahatma finding his way to Harris Promenade, San Fernando. What is said today is not merely for entertainment, but for posterity. As we navigate the rapidly changing world, we must carry the knowledge of what has shaped us. On the 30th of January 1948, the world was thrown into shock and mourning with the news of the assassination of the great soul Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, the simple little man who had grown into a larger-than-life figure, the one who gave the oppressed throughout the world hope and courage, the one who had earned a special place in the hearts of Indians and non-Indians alike, had gone, his life snuffed out in an instant. When the news reached Trinidad, still a British colony, the community, particularly the Indian community, then first and second generation descendants of the indentured Indians, were not just deeply disturbed, but agitated. They found various ways to express their grief. Some gathered in silence, some read scripture, and some even shaved their heads in mourning and respect. Here in San Fernando, a small group in the Indian community, consisting mostly of members of the merchant class, felt that a fitting tribute to the Mahatma had to be a lasting, tangible monument, and they quickly agreed that a statue of the Mahatma himself would be the most appropriate. A committee was formed, calling themselves Gandhi's Statue Committee. The chairman of the committee, Mr. Uttamchand Dialdas, was also the head of the Bombay Merchants Association, whilst the secretary was the ever-zealous Bisram Gopi, a justice of the peace and cultural activist. Other members of the committee were Mr. J.R. Sinanan, Mr. Chavinath Sardar, Alderman Dalton Chedi of the San Fernando Borough Council, Mr. Lakshman Jagannath, MBE, Pandit Suraj Bali, Mr. Isaac Nanda, and Mr. M.V. Gopal. The committee quickly gained momentum with the larger community, who registered their commitment to the cause in the form of financial contributions, and by the 31st of January 1951, the sum of $5,582.44 had been collected. Equally as important was a suitable location for the statue, a space of distinction where it would have prominence and pride of place. And in March 1951, a resolution was moved in the San Fernando Borough Council by Dr. Edward A. Lee, and I quote, "for the erection of a suitable monument to the memory of the late Mahatma Gandhi on an appropriate spot on Harris Promenade," end quote. It was thought that Harris Promenade, with its churches on one side and the government buildings on the other, was the best place. The San Fernando Borough Council unanimously accepted the resolution, and with this, the space on Harris Promenade was secured. At the same time, links were being established with the then Commissioner for the Government of India in the British West Indies, including Guyana, the predecessor to the now High Commissioner of India. This relationship proved itself to be an ever-giving resource, which secured the Ghandi Seva not only a high-quality statue, but also an excellent patron, both remaining intact today. A letter dated 17th of February 1950 by Committee Secretary Bisram Gopi request of the Commissioner, quote, "We shall be grateful if you will communicate with the Government of India, advising them of our desire to have Gandhiji's full-body marble stone statue erected in San Fernando, and request of them to send us at their most earliest convenient time a description of the size of the statue that could be supplied and the cost of the same," end quote. This began a healthy dialogue that resulted in the selection of the sculptor Nagesh Jawakar of Jawakar Art Studios, Motorboy Mansion, Bombay, being chosen, and the metal bronze for its durability, not marble, being the material of choice. Also, quality assurance of the final product was placed in the hands of the Mayor of Bombay, who inspected the mold before it was cast. A delay occurred in the shipping of the statue. This accounted for the deferment in the unveiling of the originally desired date of the 2nd of October 1951. The British India Steam Navigation Company Limited wrote to Jawakar Art Studio in April 1951, quote, "We have no direct sailing from Bombay to the West Indies, but there are regular monthly sailings from Calcutta to the West Indies with transshipment in Colombo. Your cargo will be booked whenever a suitable opportunity is available from here," end quote. At this point, the intervention of President Dayal Das, using his links as a Bombay merchant, enabled the statue's arrival in Port of Spain, he himself being present to clear the cargo. Long-standing member of the Ghandi Seva Sri Dheeraj Sinurain, vividly recollected the day they first saw the statue. Quote, "I, together with Mr. Bisram Gopi, along with members of the Gujarati Society, gathered at Gopal Brothers' store on High Street to view the newly arrived statue. We waited with bated breath. As the crate opened, there was a solemn hush. No one uttered a word. We were all overwhelmed at the sight of Bapuji, as if he was alive in our presence. Our feelings at that moment cannot be expressed in words. We just gazed in reverence as he was raised from his reclining position," end quote. And there it is, the first statue of Mahatma Gandhi to have left India for the West had arrived safely in San Fernando, Trinidad. Whilst donations were being solicited, the questions arose about the upkeep of the statue and the propagation of the Gandhian philosophy. The inaugural report of the Ghandi Seva stated, quote, "It was the consensus of opinion that a statue of Gandhiji without an organ to propagate the Himalayan ideal for which he lived and for which he died would be incomplete," end quote. With this, the Ghandi Seva was registered by the late attorney at law, Pandit Sri Sankar Sinarain, on the 14th of February 1951, and later by an Act of Parliament in 1988. The inaugural address stated, "The Ghandi Seva Sangh Incorporated is an organization in honor of the sacred memory of the late Mahatma Gandhi. It was formed with the hope that members would propagate the teachings of the late Mahatma of selfless service to humanity based upon the indestructible fortress of truth, love, and non-violence." The unveiling of the statue. Sunday, the 4th of May, 1952, was a day full of pomp and circumstance in the borough of San Fernando. The day started with a movie entitled Ghandi the Immortal, showed at the New Theatre Cinema, Mugarapo Street. The actual unveiling of the statue took place at 2:30 p.m. The entire promenade was transformed. The Trinidad Guardian reported, quote, "Hubert Rance, Governor, unveiled a bronze life-size statue of Mahatma Gandhi at Harris Promenade here yesterday afternoon in the presence of a Caribbean-wide assembly running into thousands. They cheered as he paid tribute to the Mahatma for being a great patriot, possibly the greatest India has ever produced." Lending a touch of solemnity to the occasion was as the statue was unveiled, pundits gathered around the base of the pedestal and chanted prayers. Immediately afterwards, the president of the Ghandi Seva Sangh and the committee that sponsored the erection of the statue climbed up the 12-foot pedestal and garlanded the memorial. The crowd included the Honorable Roy Joseph, Albert Gomes, Norman Tang, all ministers, members of the Port of Spain City Council, San Fernando and Arima Borough Councils, ministers of religion, oilfield and sugar estate officials, magistrates, and representatives of the East Indian communities of Jamaica, Suriname, British Guyana, and other parts of the Caribbean. Boy Scouts and Red Cross detachments formed in guard of honor for the governor. The police band played several songs, and the SM Azil's Indian Orchestra rendered items nearing the close of the ceremony. The day ended with a rather decadent tea party at Palms Club, San Fernando. Through the years, many have selflessly served the organization through our various Sewa efforts. Ramjas Ramlakan, Sriram Kalicharan, Resol Paratap Singh, Tribahan Sigubin, Jason Kisoon are just a few to serve on the executive. One thing that can be said with certainty is that rain or shine, small or large, in spite of an attempted coup, SOEs, or pandemic, the Ghandi Seva Sangh Incorporated has commemorated without fail the birth and death anniversaries of the Mahatma each year for the past 70 years. These occasions have served to remind us of the inspiring attributes of the Mahatma and enable us to recommit ourselves to following the Mahatma's ideals in our daily lives. The restoration of the statue in 2021 has been a labor of love for the organization. As the statue was removed from the pedestal, we were all anxious to get a closer glimpse of our Bapuji. The ladies lovingly washed and shined the Mahatma's feet while singing his favorite bhajans, and we are all grateful to have had the services of an understanding contractor, Everlast Civil Engineering, who were reverent towards the statue and the restoration project. We can say with certainty that the monument is able to last another 70 years. Along with the new pedestal, the Ghandi Seva Sangh Incorporated has taken a bold position of installing benches around the Mahatma Gandhi statue. We have chosen to honor our elders and those who selflessly served in the last 7 decades with these benches. The Ghandi Seva Sangh wishes this area around the pedestal to be a refuge in the city, a place where passers-by can spend time in introspection and be inspired by the great man. Today marks a renewal of the Ghandi Statue Incorporated, a recommitment to the ideals of the founding fathers that promote Gandhian philosophy. Projects that promote this philosophy and help youth in particular achieve soft power are on the way. Those are the attributes that matter most in the final analysis. We take the opportunity to thank the High Commissioner of India, His Excellency, Mr. Sahu, and the team at the Mahatma Gandhi Institute for being cooperative and a joy to work with. The Ghandi Statue also wishes to thank His Worship, the Mayor, Alderman Junior Regralo, and his staff, particularly City Engineer, for working with us during the restoration. Finally, to use words from the great Mahatma himself, and I quote, if we could change ourselves, the tendencies of the world would also change. As a man changes, his own nature, the attitude of the world changes towards him. We need not wait to see what others do. Become that change that you want to see in the world. End quote. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharda, for that historical perspective and for putting everything in context. And now a song which Sharda told me was a favorite of Gandhi, and that's Vaishnav Janatu, and it will be performed by the Mahatma Gandhi Institute. It's on video. committee has arranged for later this morning at 12:30 for the bells to be rung in commemoration of the rededication of the statue. So to bring us the feature address today is a gentleman well known now to the community of Trinidad and Tobago, the High Commissioner of India, Sri A.K. Sahu. I will now just take a capsule of his biography, which is long and extended, just a capsule. Arun Kumar Sahu joined the Indian Foreign Service in 1996. As a diplomat, he has served in China, England, Canada, Tehran. As an academic, he has worked in joint foundations with the USA and Canada. He holds 2 master's degrees from King's College in London and Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi. He is fluent in several languages. He will tell you, I think it's Odissi, Hindi, English, and Chinese, if I'm not mistaken. He is a published poet and short story writer. And as an actor myself, well, of course, that was interesting to me. So this eminent gentleman, who will not let the rain worry him, please, he accepted the post of High Commissioner to Trinidad on the 3rd of September 2019. Let us welcome Sri A.K. Sahu.
Good afternoon to all of you. I think I am audible. You know? Yeah. Nature is against me. I'm extremely happy to be here, and as the Honorable Mayor recalled, I think last year when I paid a courtesy call, and then we had a walk of the Harris Promenade, and out of many things that you, all those stalwarts of who have changed how a human being think, how we live today, how we fight today, how we struggle. I think among all those people, I could see Mahatma Gandhi, and I was touched. And the Honorable Mayor said, you know, the podium looks quite old, dilapidated. The statue needs to be, I think, the place and the podium and all this needs to be little renovated. So at that time, actually, before he told me, I was actually thinking, how old is this statue, and who is taking care of this, and how we can actually modernize, you know, at least beautify the whole place so that it is more friendly to the visitors, to the people who are you know, influenced and who actually admire what Gandhi did. At a time when things were based on revolution of blood and bloodshed, Gandhi was one philosopher, or let's say one human being, who thought otherwise. In the time of violence, in the history of violence, actually the first personality in the whole world who thought that victory can be brought out of non-violence. It's a very difficult way to think otherwise, you know, in the time when the tide was for violence and blood and killing. But I think what he succeeded is that it is most important that the practitioner of non-violence actually believes in what non-violence is. And to believe in truth and non-violence is the astounding work on the part of an individual. It's very difficult to practice what we are reading now or what we are saying. To give you a very small example, when your own child does not obey what you want him to do or her to do, you always tend to find a violent method to tell him or her that she is actually not right, and you as father or parents are the right person. Try to practice non-violence at that time and moment. I think it's very difficult. The way, and that is why Gandhi always said in his writings, in his experiment with truth, and all those writings that he did as a youngster and subsequently as his ideas evolved as a matured political leader and then a freedom fighter and then a leader who led the jewel in the crown of British Empire to be independent against violence and get independence for his own people. I think it's an example in history which needs to be studied, which needs to be put in theoretical concepts and paradigms so that researchers and academics and universities and colleges can really study what goes into the whole philosophy and matrix of Gandhism. And I am actually very, very happy that, as I went back to High Commission after meeting the mayor, I tried to dig out some history of this statue and how Gandhi's statue came here. And then I found that there is a Gandhi Seva Sangh here which looks after this. This is the first Gandhi statue which actually came from India to the Caribbean in 1951. And in the podium, I think when they cleaned it up, there was a name came up called Yawalkar, and I had to find out who is the sculptor Yawalkar. Nagesh Yawalkar, in the sculptor, was one of his own kind of an artist in pre-independent India. He was one of the very rare artists who actually exhibited his paintings in Europe, including Paris, and in North America, in New York, in the 1930s. And the mayor of Bombay at that time, Mr. Patil, had requested him to commission the statue from Nagesh Yawalkar. His son, he is no more, his son, who is again a famous sculptor who carried the tradition, he passed away in 2012. And his son, basically his grandson, is a Bollywood actor now. So the way I traced Nagesh Yawalkar was through his grandson. And he actually confirmed that this is, yes, the Yawalkar, what you say, in 1950, it was his grandfather. Subsequently, of course, I had to share this whole history of Gandhiji with people of India. So last week, on 19th of September, the Hindu, one of the largest circulating newspaper in India, published a piece by me on Gandhiji in the Caribbean. I think I have shared that article with few people, and I have shared it with you, Honorable Mayor, today. So you can have a look how Gandhi is present in Trinidad and Tobago and what is their history. As you know, the culture center in India, the culture center in Trinidad and Tobago is named after Gandhiji. We have a new director now who is, and I have a feeling, and I have had a word with her what to be done so that you can actually propagate and spread the messages of Gandhi to the wider public of not only Trinidad and Tobago but also the whole Caribbean. And every year we have now thinking of organizing a annual lecture by a prominent Gandhian scholar who can do, one lecture, I think around that month of October, where Gandhi Sabha Sangh and other organizations can be part of, universities can be part of. And before couple of months of 2nd October, I would also like that Mahatma Gandhi Institute do some activities related to school children. One of the activities which come to my mind is something like essay writing competition on Gandhi's ideals and his philosophy. And a substantial amount of prize or award could be allocated to that essays. The first and second and third essays can be published in. I think these are the things that we are thinking for the next year. I think by the time the 2nd October of 2022 comes, then all those will materialize. As you know, also when we talk about Gandhiji, we can't forget independence. And next year, 2022, is the 75th Independence Day of India, Independence Year of India. We got our independence in 1947. Government of India has decided that 75 weeks before that, there has to be a celebration which Prime Minister Modi has termed as Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. In short, in English, we say India at 75. The chair that has been dedicated by the High Commission is in that name of India at 75. For that 75, I think from mid-March, we have started celebration in a very restricted manner, very mute manner because of the pandemic. But as we get out of the pandemic, slowly you will find that hybrid events and some physical events will be hosted in Mahatma Gandhi Center for the next 75 weeks, culminating on 15th of August 2022. For that, I will need the supports of all of you. In the past, the High Commission, as long as I am here, more than 2 years now, and I have been fortunate to get support and assistance from all the organizations which are community organizations, the Gandhi Sabha Sangh, Mayor's Office, of course, is always willing. All those other organizations who is outside San Fernando, I think I will expect that you will continue supporting the High Commission and MGICC's initiative. I thank you very much for all those support. And at this occasion, I think I'll leave with only one quote of Gandhiji, which said, an eye for an eye makes the world blind. Let's not make the world blind. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. High Commissioner, and to the High Commissioner and to Mayor Regrello. A little known fact is that in around 1929, I think that's the year, Gandhi had sent an emissary to the Caribbean, and he came to Trinidad, and one of the places that he stayed was in San Fernando, in a house that still exists in San Fernando, with a family that is still around. So I don't think the mayor knew that. Yes. So the house is still there. And I see that the timing is excellent on behalf of High Commissioner Sahu. I know he timed it. So let's not waste time. We are now to all go outside for the garlanding of the Ghandi statue. And this will be done by both the High Commissioner and our Mayor. So let us proceed outside. Now the garlands will be placed first by His Excellency A.K. Sahu, and now for the Mayor. And now Ashwin Patel on behalf of the Gujarati Association. Jitendra Mehral on behalf of GSS, the Ghandi Seva Sangh. And we have one more garland which would be placed by the Director of the MGICC,